Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits, Reach Personal Success on a Daily Basis. Today, we unlock the chains of limiting beliefs and set your aspirations free. I'm your host, Anita Shinsky, and today we're embarking on a journey to reach personal success on a daily basis. And this episode is titled Mind Traps: Overcoming Negative Thoughts, Blocking Your Dreams. We'll delve into insidious nature and negative thoughts that lurk in the shadows of our minds, often without our conscious awareness. These thoughts can be silent saboteurs of our dreams, subtly undermining our confidence and eroding our God, our now. Let's get back to this. Eroding our past motivation, and together we'll explore strategies to recognize these mental traps and learn how to navigate through them. By the end of our time together, you'll be equipped with tools to push past your barriers, allowing you to live a life without limits and achieve personal success on every single day. And the best way to think about it is this. So, is to stay tuned well, to stay tuned as we dismantle the mind traps and pave the way for a future where your dreams are not just possibilities, but realities. Realities meaning it's something that you can achieve and understand what are the possibilities and not just realities. So, understanding navigational thoughts. For one thing, what is a negative thought and how do they manifest? Well, a negative thought is manifested due to the negativity around you. And those common things happen simply because we fear failure or societal pressures. And let's look at some of those things. Well, for one thing, what if you have someone always comparing you to someone else and how successful they are compared to the fact that each of us are unique, each of us have certain things that we do that make us unique, and what someone else does is not always the same thing that we can do. For instance, each of us have different personality types, and these personality types react differently in different situations. For instance, how many times have you, in essence, seen yourself one way while someone else see you in another way? And one thing that I noticed in homes, especially when you have parents that don't know how to parent or they have their own personal issues, what are they doing? Well, they tend to do things where what they do is because they feel inferior themselves because they grew up in a home where they were constantly being put down, that what happens is they are passing along that negativity to their children. And in doing so, what are they doing? Well, for one thing, they make themselves feel more important and more in control by being negative. And because you have negative people around you, what happens? You tend to think very negatively and you tend to put yourselves down because when you look at transactional analysis, it talks about the parent, the adult, the child. The child says, I want. The uh, the parent says you should, and the adult says I'm able to, and you finish out those sentences. Well, the thing is, here's the thing: you have a parent that's constantly putting you down, constantly being negative, then eventually you internalize all of those thoughts, and internalizing all of those thoughts, you begin to think that way. This is how negative thoughts come into existence. Now, the impact of negative and negativity goal pursuit. Negative thoughts are those pesky inner dialogues that often focus on criticizing, doubting, or belittling oneself. They can manifest as a persistent sense of inadequacy, relentless worry about the future, or an overarching feeling of doom. These thoughts can be intrusive and unwelcome, popping up at the most inopportune moments and coloring our perception of reality with a pessimistic hue. The sources of negative thoughts are as varied as they are complex. Past experiences, particularly those that were traumatic or deeply disappointing, can leave a lasting imprint on our psyche, causing us to anticipate similar outcomes in the future. Fear of failure is another common culprit, paralyzing us with the idea that we're not good enough or that our efforts will inevitably fall short. Societal pressures also play a significant role. We're bombarded with messages of how we should look, act, and feel. And when we don't measure up to the often unrealistic standards, our inner critic can go into overdrive. And understanding these sources is the first step of learning how to counteract negative thoughts by acknowledging their presence and dissecting their origins. We can begin to challenge their validity and regain control over our mental landscape. So, what are some strategies to overcome negative thinking? Well, before I get into this, I just want to say this: there is a lot of modalities out there, and these modalities are things where what they begin to think of is how you should react. And when we talk about the tapes that we hear in our head, the thoughts that come into our heads, the things that people have told us over and over again because they were a parent, they were an adult, they were a teacher, someone that you looked up to. Therefore, what happens? You literally believe what you think because they've ingrained it in your head. So, some of the strategies to overcome some of these negative thoughts are cognitive behavioral techniques. And what CBT is a powerful tool that is in the battle against negative thoughts. It involves identifying the negative thoughts patterns that are affecting your behavior and emotions, and then challenging and reframing them. The process begins with becoming aware of your autonomic negative thoughts that arise and examine the evidence for and against these thoughts. By doing so, you can begin to see these thoughts for what they are, distortions of reality, and replace them with more balanced and realistic thinking. Why is this so important? Well, for one thing, here's what's going on. You begin to believe the things that people say to you, especially if they're a teacher or an adult or even a parent. And many a times, those parents are just coming out of their own reality and their own thought process. They don't understand the difference. And the best way to look at that is what let me back up and say that as a child, because I grew up with a disability, I was constantly being treated as though I would never amount to anything. And yes, I also grew up in an era when there were no laws to guarantee people with disabilities the right to an education or the right to employment. But because my personality was to be very outgoing, I looked for ways to overcome it and get away from it. And I remember being that 12-year-old child climbing out of the window and wanting to run away to get away from the negativity that was going on in the home, as well as the abuse that I knew should not have been happening to me. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are practices that can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without becoming entangled in them. By cultivating a state of mindful awareness, you can observe your negative thoughts without judgment and let them pass without allowing them to dictate your emotional state. Regular meditation can help you develop a sense of inner peace and resilience, making it easier to manage negative thought patterns when they arise. You hear of yoga, you hear of the meditate different types of meditation because what you're doing is getting into your inner thoughts and you're kind of blocking out the world around you as a way of beginning to become more aware of who you are and what your strengths are and how you're different than someone else. And you have to learn how to utilize those strengths over your weaknesses. Cultivating a positive mindset. There are several practical steps that you can take to foster a more positive mindset. Gratitude. Journaling is one such technique where you regularly write down things you are thankful for, which can shift your focus from negative to positive aspects of your life. Positive affirmations are another tool. These are uplifting statements that you can repeat to yourself to build self confidence and counteract negative self talk. Additionally, surrounding yourself with positive influences, setting achievable goals, and engaging in activities that bring you joy can all contribute to a more optimistic outlook in life. By implementing these strategies, you can begin to dismantle the negative thought patterns that have been holding you back and pave the way for more and fulfilling, successful life. So remember, it's not about never having negative thoughts, it's about not letting them control you. And this is what the laws of attraction and the secret were all about. So now we're going to get into some success stories. So let's turn our attention to some inspiring success stories of individuals who have triumphed over negative thinking to achieve their dreams. But before I get into other stories, I'd love to tell you about my story because there's a thing that Carl Jung says that it's not what happened to me, but it's what I choose to become. Because you can let others control your life and tell you how to think and tell you what profession you should go into. But if you do what makes you happy, then in essence, you will become a more successful person because you will be doing what you truly enjoy doing. And the sad part is why so many people are unsuccessful or continue to be negative is because they've never allowed themselves to take the control of their life and do what they choose and enjoy to do. So here's one story of a young entrepreneur named Alex. Alex had a vision of starting his own tech company, but he was constantly plagued by thoughts of inadequacy and the fear of failure. He worried that he didn't have what it took to succeed in such a competitive industry. However, through the use of cognitive behavioral techniques, Alex began to challenge his self doubt. He kept a journal where he would write down his negative thoughts and then critically analyze them, often finding that they were not based on facts, but replacing these thoughts with evidence of his past successes and his actual capabilities. Alex slowly built up his confidence. Another case is of Maria, a talented artist who struggled with the belief that her work was never good enough. This negative self perception stemmed from a highly critical art teacher she had in her youth. Maria turned to mindfulness and meditation to manage her thought patterns. She practiced being present with her art, focusing on the process rather than the outcome. This shift in perspective allowed her to appreciate her own growth and unique style. She began sharing her art on social media, and to her surprise, it resonated with many, leading to a successful online business. Now, the last one we're going to talk about is a person called Jordan who dreamed of becoming a professional speaker but was held back by a deep seated fear of public speaking. Jordan's negative thoughts told him he would always be too nervous to speak effectively in front of an audience. He decided to take small steps, starting with speaking to small, supportive groups and using positive affirmations to bolster his self esteem. He also practiced gratitude, acknowledging each opportunity to speak as a chance to improve and connect with others. Over time, Jordan's fear diminished, and he became known as for his engaging and impactful presentations. Another thing that you can do as a speaker to gain confidence is to join Toastmasters because you get your first 10 speeches for a CTM. And at this level, the idea is that you learn slowly all the techniques on how to speak and how to speak powerfully. And then if you join National Speakers Association, and through them you learn the 8 platform skills. And you get out there, you give speeches, and as you build up your experience and you build up your confidence, your pricing keeps going up. And then you become a certified speaking professional, which really gives you accreditation and builds up that self-esteem. So these individuals exemplify the profound impact that changing one's thought processes and behaviors can have on achieving success. They remind us that while negative thoughts may be common part of the human experience, they don't have to dictate our outcomes. With the right strategies and a commitment to personal growth, it's possible to break free from the mental barriers that hold us back and live a life without limits. In conclusion, we've delved into the pervasive issue of negative thoughts and their capacity to derail our dreams. We've defined what negative thoughts are and how they can insidiously manifest in our lives, often rooted in past experiences, fear of failure, or societal pressures. We've also discussed cognitive behavioral techniques and the role of mindfulness and meditation in managing these detrimental thought patterns. Moreover, we've provided practical tips for fostering a positive mindset, including gratitude journaling and positive affirmations. We've been inspired by success stories that individuals like Alex and Maria, who have conquered their negative thinking and achieved their dreams through deliberate changes in their thought processes and behavior. Now, I encourage you and our listeners to reflect on your own thought patterns, recognize the negative thoughts that may be holding you back. Take proactive steps to challenge and change them. Remember, the mind is a powerful tool, and with the right strategies, you can reshape your thinking and unlock your full potential. For those seeking further learning and support, there are numerous resources available. Books on cognitive behavioral techniques, mindfulness practices, and positive psychology can provide deeper insights. Websites dedicated to mental health and personal development offer valuable information and tools. Additionally, support groups, both in person and online, can offer a community of encouragement and shared experiences. Take the first step today. Excuse me. Take the first steps today towards a more positive and fulfilling life. Reflect, challenge, and change. Your dreams are within reach, and you have the power to overcome the negative thoughts that may be sabotaging them. So, thank you for joining me in this journey to personal success. So until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and live without limits. Now, what I want to also say is this, that I grew up in a home that was very, very negative and very, very abusive. And for me, what I did was I went and studied psychology and learned from that I as an individual with a disability have just as much capability as anyone else. The problem is that what I have is cerebral palsy, and it's a neuromuscular disability. It affects your attention span, it affects how you learn, because what gets into short term memory doesn't always get into long term memory. Therefore, when it comes to being a test taker, you may not show what you're truly capable of doing. Therefore, it is important for you to understand and take it for what it is and use it to treat yourself with the best opportunities. And if you have to, get help. Don't let other people tell you how you should think or how you should react or the way you should handle situations. Take control of your own life and live it to the fullest.